Hello, and thank you for joining me for Mission Empower Words with Wendi. I'm Wendi Wotecki, your host for this podcast today. Today I have with me Jill Horrenda Patton,
Hello.
our Executive Director and founder of Mission Empower. Good afternoon, Jill.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for coming and talking
definitely.
to us today about how it is that Mission Empower came to be. So, tell me, why? What happened to set the whole catalyst in motion for you to develop and find this organization, this nonprofit?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Back in 2007, 2006, I was doing advocacy work at another agency, and I noticed kids and young adults were going through the same things that I went through in the 70s and 80s. I have multiple disabilities that I incurred when I was a baby, and so I had to really push and fight for my own inclusion with my parents, of course, leading the way, and I couldn't believe it. The kids and students were going through the same thing: segregation, you know, fighting to be included, having to prove they had worth, right? So I decided we need an agency to just focus on this. There's lots of advocacy agencies in the area, but nothing working just for kids. So
Interesting. So you found that there was a need
definitely,
and you had the ability or the desire to fill that need.
yes,
That's really
passion.
cool. Absolutely
For
a
sure.
passion. You know, working on a nonprofit is not the easiest thing in
No.
the world. So, what did you do first after you came up with the idea that there was a need? What was the next step?
Right. So I called a few friends, other advocates, parents who I knew were like-minded, had similar passion, and we just got together, had a meeting, decided we wanted to do something. I had a friend who had started a nonprofit a few years ago, actually Rob Coker, United We Stand, so we borrowed his bylaws, and actually he was on the board as well. And we just said, we're going to do this, we're going to plow through, and we tried to take any trainings we could about nonprofits, and and had a lawyer friend help us incorporate, and I applied for the nonprofit status. That was horrible. It was like doing your IRS taxes on steroids.
Oh.
But we did it, and the first 4 years we were just volunteers, first 3 or 4. So
Amazing. Did you have very many staff when you were first starting out, or was it just you and one or two other people?
it was just me and a few other advocates, volunteers who were dedicated as well, passionate. It's like if we weren't going to be advocates, we wouldn't be living. So
Correct. Now, I believe that's when I was introduced to
I
you,
think so.
when I had a need for one of my own children. You were in a teeny tiny little office
yes.
over on, I think, West 8th
West 8th.
Street.
Mhm.
Yes. So what happened over on that little teeny tiny office that made you explode and have the ability to
Yes.
grow into what we are today?
Yeah, actually it started at my house first.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, first 2 years, 3 years, it was at my house. We'd have board meetings around my dining room table.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, and my house phone in my office at the house was, where people would call for help. But we went to 8th Street, we had grown a little bit, gotten a few grants. Actually, Erie Community Foundation was our first grantor. Thank you, Erie Community Foundation.
Yeah, thank you, Erie Community Foundation.
And then we were very honored. In 2012, we applied to be a Community Parent Resource Center, federally funded through the Office of Special Education Programs. And there's only 30 of us across the country.
Explain what that is exactly, a Community
Yes.
Parent Resource Center for me.
So through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, it's a federal law that protects kids with disabilities to be educated in the public school with their peers, free and appropriate public education. There's funding that Congress put into the bill that said there will be community parent resource centers and then parent training information centers across the country. And what community parent resource centers do is we support parents to understand their rights, their responsibilities, how to collaborate with schools, how to get the best they can for their child.
Awesome.
To be empowered, yes.
So you received this grant,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
Yes.
grant did what?
Yeah, so we were able to actually hire staff, yay,
Yay!
besides myself, and actually get paid. So, we hired a trainer, an outreach director, marketing, and eventually, in about a year and a half, through another friend, we heard about a space at 1611 Peach Street that an insurance company wanted to sell to a nonprofit. So we bought it for $1.
Oh wow! So see, no, I didn't realize that
Yeah.
you bought your space for $1. Where we are at once
Yes.
again,
Yep.
1611 Peach Street, Suite 120. Come and see us.
Yes.
We have the resource center there, correct?
That's right.
What can they find in there?
All kinds of resources to help you to be a better advocate and get your child's needs met at school and the community. And it's in paper form, or we can help you online too.
Excellent. So you got the grant, you got to start hiring staff,
Yes.
and then you grew a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us how that occurred. So you had the Community
Yes.
Parent Resource Center, you have an advocate working with you, you have an outreach person working with you, you have this great building, and I know there was some remodeling that went on in the building.
Yes.
So how did all those steps occur?
Oh goodness. So, of course, we became well known for advocacy, supporting families, and that's our most sought after service at Mission Empower. And through the years, we found there was other needs for the families we're working with, the youth. Youth Envision was the next program that came out of that. That was one of my ultimate dreams, probably 20 years ago actually, that youth would be empowered to be their own advocate, because they have to understand their needs, their strengths. They have to be able to talk to their college professors, their employers. Parents don't realize that sometimes, that their kid goes off to college, they're not going to be able to talk to their professor or learn about their grades. The kid has to do it all themselves. So I wanted to empower youth and to do that for themselves. Plus, they don't even sometimes know that they have a disability, which is amazing too.
Right. Plus, with the school, in the school setting, they start those transition services at age 14.
Right.
So it's really important to guide them and help them along that roadmap as soon as we possibly can, so they understand their rights and responsibilities as the 14-year-old
Exactly.
going through the transitioning. So that's how Youth Envision occurred.
Started in 2015. It kicked off.
And tell me about that summer programming you do with Youth Envision.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We have a 3-day summit. We've always had it at the Frontier Arboretum, Believe. It's a great location to have a youth summit because we can do activities outside in the park. They learn about disability history. They learn about leadership. They learn about their strengths, their weaknesses. They do some leadership activities, and the whole focus is for them to learn and then meet other youth too and staff there. And we bring in speakers from the community as well. And then we don't want just them to learn about what they need, but I want them to give back. That's why we unfolded volunteer opportunities all year long. Everybody can give back. I don't care what your background is or your disability. Everybody can give back, and then they feel better, right? Plus, it's employment resume building as well. So.
Yes, all very important things. What are some of the activities that the youth do to give back? Do you have any in mind?
They've gone to Anna's shelter, they've planted trees, they've helped with Cerveri painting at schools. I think they do gardening, so it's a wide variety of information, or activities, I should say.
Super cool. I know I've personally seen them when they've had their fun meetings in our office where they get together and have potluck.
Yes.
And it's so nice to hear them laugh and giggle and just be good kids. And they're unplugged. They're not all sitting around on their cell phones. They're interacting, and that's something that's really important right now, I think, in today's society. So,
For sure.
that's the Youth Envision. Let's move on to what and how did the next step occur?
So, actually, Mission Read came about the same time. We also found that there was a great need for tutoring for kids with dyslexia or dyslexia-like tendencies. Actually, learning disabilities are the highest occurring disability, and a majority of learning disabilities, the kids or young people or adults have dyslexia. So, the Orton-Gilliam program, which has been used for decades, is really the best research-based tutoring intervention for dyslexia, and we had a local tutor who had been doing that through the Barton system, and so she came to Mission Empower and started the program off. Mission Read, her name was Carolyn Taylor, and we've grown since then. We've trained volunteers, tutors that work with kids. So.
That's really cool. And I believe you have a fee for that service, but it's
Yes.
dramatically cheaper.
Oh my
I
goodness.
believe I've seen it when I was doing my research. Is in Erie County, you can find it for I believe between $80 and $100 an hour is the average
Yes.
hour of tutoring. And at what cost does Mission Empower or Mission Read?
Yes, so we charge only $5 an
Okay.
hour a session, so.
Correct.
And if
So
someone can't afford that, they can volunteer in that place.
that's phenomenal. That really is. That's quite a service at that cost. So, tell me a little bit more about Mission Read and how you have some
Yes.
little helpers along with you right
Yeah,
now.
definitely. So along the way, we've been blessed with volunteer tutors, and this year we've gotten a new tutor from Gannon's Occupational Therapy Department. Dr. Julia Hawkins has put the word out, and one of her students stepped up and is volunteering now. We would love to have more volunteers. This is a really great service for college people who want service hours, and also retired people. You know, we'd love to have more retired teachers, or even just, you know, the community members, so.
Very cool. What phone
Yeah.
number do they need to call you at?
Yes, they can call 814-825-0788, and our website is missionempower.org.
And that's MissionEmpower.org.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that we have all that
Definitely.
clear for everybody. So so we have the Mission Empower, the advocacy going on. We have Youth Envision. Now we have Mission Read.
Yes. And then our next program,
Yes,
The next
we're
year.
building some more.
yes, Mission Employment, yay.
Woo, Mission Employment.
Yes, so I had found out through networking with other service providers that Office of Vocational Rehabilitation was starting some youth programming. They really never had youth programming before, but the law changed 2014, and they had to do more youth programming. And this is individual and group trainings, and individual services are job shadows or paid internships. So this is a great service for kids to get real life experience in, you know, employment, and then build a resume, see if they like the job or not too.
And that's through OVR.
Yes, they have to be official client through OVR, so they would need to apply through them first, and then they pick the provider.
And then we are our provider that they can choose from.
Right, definitely.
Okay, excellent.
It's really a fun program. We've had a lot of fun taking kids to all kinds of places, the fire department, the peninsula, you know, observing surgery. It's amazing what people have done. So.
Yes, I do believe that we've had kids at Pad My Thai, not My Thai,
Like my tie.
like My Thai, like My Thai,
Yes, that's true.
Thai, and then we've had kids at the gardens. What are some other really good
Oh,
ones?
CVS, paid internships at CVS stores.
Those are phenomenal. Let's talk about those for a
Definitely.
second, because those children, those young adults that
Yes.
get chosen for that,
Yes,
they are making how much an hour?
$10.35. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe that, because if I was a junior, senior in high school and that was available to me in a nice, clean environment,
Yes.
and what kind of things do they do while they're there at the
Yeah.
CVS?
I think they stock shelves, they clean. I'm not sure what else, but I think
I think
that's the
rotate
majority.
dates,
Yeah.
they take care of the product that's coming off of the truck,
Yes.
so they're working a relatively clean job. It's
Yes.
not
Right.
washing toilets at McDonald's
Right.
by any means. So
Exactly.
there's lots of opportunity there.
Mhm.
So those programs are all in place, and that's a really cool thing. However, we have the director of Mission Employment right now in Mississippi, and
Yes.
tell us about what she's doing, because I think this is a
Yes.
really cool opportunity as well.
Yeah, so this is an extension of Mission Employment. It's called the Discovery Method. It was developed by Mark Gold Associates in Mississippi, and it's training to help people who have more significant needs or barriers to employment. And it's awesome. The person does an evaluation, but not a formal evaluation. This is where they observe them in their natural environments, maybe when they're volunteering or at social things, and we've determined, you know, what their strengths are, and then they are matched and found. Employer is found, and a specific job is carved out to what the employer needs and matched with the individual. So.
It sounds amazing.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that resume, because there's something really special
yes.
about it.
So they make it help them make a visual resume. so when they're observing them, they take pictures and they, use things from the past for pictures, and they make a PowerPoint and show all the great things that this person can do. Because usually in our world, right, medical, physical, in the medical or school, we talk about things that people can't do well, right?
Exactly.
But we're going to strength-based, see what they can do.
Yeah, that's what was very exciting for me, is that they actually were really laser focused on the ability of the clients and showcasing all of their strengths, and that there is lots of things that they are able to do in a work environment. And I think that's so important moving forward to having an independent life. So
everybody wants to contribute, right?
exactly, everybody does. So now that you've told us your story about Mission Empower and how it came to be, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about those things.
All right.
So the first question I had for you was, what's one thing you wish you would have known when you began this whole entire journey? Because it's been a huge journey.
It sure has. Well, lots of twists and turns and blood, sweat, and tears. Just how long it would be and how things don't move so quickly, I guess, and to be patient and to take care of myself along the process.
Along the process, yes. I have to say that I'm very blessed with the fact that as an employer and as working in a nonprofit, you understand that I have a child with a need, that we do have families, that there are circumstances that come up in life, and that you value us as employees, and we're not just a number.
Definitely.
We're definitely hand selected, so that's really cool. So thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
What was the biggest barrier that you found along the way, and what can we learn from that?
Definitely. So one of my dreams when we founded Mission Empower was to have a group of parents in every school district ready and willing and able to help other parents coming up through the system. Because it is so confusing, right? If you think back to when you first started, it's overwhelming. You go to a meeting where there's 15 professionals and you're by yourself when you don't know what to do, and you are still grieving maybe about learning about your child's needs and disability, that you're overwhelmed, right? So I wanted there to be a group of parents in every district to help other parents, right? But that's so hard to find in this busy world, and we're just too busy, right? Not enough time. But that's what I want to do. Have parents not just come to us with their issues or problems, but when they get things settled down and they're empowered, to help the next parents coming up, to pay it forward, And if we all give back, it's going to be a better community.
Yes.
And so we've tried several times to get that going, and we've had some parents and some success, but it needs to expand. I see an ever-growing circle, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think we have an idea for that coming up, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Definitely.
After we're done with our questions, because I'm excited about that process as growing again. Okay, so my third question for you was, which three people, I guess I picked three, have been the most influential to you, and why? I think that's important to know a little bit about how you got where you're going.
Yeah, so, all right, when I was in college, way back, I did go to Envision University, and one of the reasons why was they have a really great program for people with disabilities.
Yes, they do.
And my freshman year, I met a young lady named Kathy Herzog. She was an awesome advocate. And I learned so much from her. She actually got to go to the signing of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Oh, wow.
When President George Bush signed it. So yeah, she's an awesome advocate. I've learned a lot from her.
Okay, so who would the second person be that's been super influential to
I would
you?
say my mother. She always advocated for me, even though it wasn't in fashion back then. There wasn't really a lot of advocates in the 70s and 80s. I went to McDowell High School, and there was no elevator in the high school when I moved up to 11th grade. So my IU teacher suggested she write a letter to the superintendent, and she did. And we got an elevator.
She got an elevator for you at McDowell. That is phenomenal.
Well, not just me, but
Well, yeah, but yeah, exactly. That she advocated and got that put in place for everybody that needed it.
And she and my dad also always they assumed I would have a, quote unquote normal, inclusive life. So,
Well,
I lived
you
up to it. Yeah, and I think that's what parents should do for their kids, no matter what their disability.
Absolutely.
Think the best for them, to have high expectations.
Yes, we should explain that you are a wife and a mother,
I am.
so you are living the dream.
I am.
So can you think of a third person?
Yeah, definitely. So my wonderful husband, Kirk, I have to, I couldn't have done this job without his support. And yeah, we're a team, really. You know, if there was anything to be moved, he'd help me, or even paint it, or even financial support at the beginning. You know, you know, he's my sounding board, everything.
Yes.
So.
Yes, of course. That's really cool.
Plus,
Yeah.
you know, he advocates too.
Of course, thank you, Kirk.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So my fourth question for you is, are there any resources that have helped you along this whole journey? Because it's been
Definitely.
quite the journey.
It has been a journey. So definitely, my professional life, when I first started, I was at a Center for Independent Living. So that's a great resource. Almost every community has one. We have two in Erie. So Voices for Independence and Community Resources for Independence. So I really learned about independent living and, you know, adult life. And then the Peel Center. It's really our sister organization, but they serve the whole state. I actually went to a leadership series of trainings, my second year of Mission and Power, and it really, you know, I got to know a network of parents. I got to hear great speakers across the country, and they have great staff. So they're centered out of Pittsburgh. And then SPAN, out of New Jersey. I can't quite remember what that stands for, but they have a great resource too, great library, great website. They have a website called parentcenterhub.org. And
Yes.
it's actually all the resources from past websites are on there, and we're always updating it. So
Yes, I
Great.
frequently use that myself.
Rights Law is a good one too, rightslaw.com. We actually brought in Peter Wright and his wife for a training. It was awesome, about 2006. Yeah, it was great. So
Those are all great resources. I know I've used them myself too
fantastic.
in my job as being the parent connector for Mission and Power. So next is one of my favorite questions, honestly, and that is, what is the one common misconception about your profession that you want to debunk?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm an advocate at heart, even though I am the executive director now. So I'm always thinking with the advocacy, you know, frame of mind. But people think advocate and they get scared sometimes, or just wary. They don't understand us. They think we're lawyers, but we're not.
No, not at all.
You know, so essentially, you know, they're scared. They think we're going to come in and tell them what to do, and, you know, we're big, bad, scary people. But all we're there, it's really is to support the family and to get the two sides to work together and talk it out. And, you know, for the best outcome for the child. So.
Right, and I think right now, personally speaking, we're in a really good place
Yes.
where
I
I know I'm having a fantastic working relationship with a lot of our districts right now, where they understand that sometimes the parents, when they walk into that room of 15 people, just need
Yes.
supported
Right, they're scared.
because they're scared, and sometimes that's all that they need, and a little bit of help with communicating with school districts,
Right.
because the language can be scary
Oh my
sometimes.
goodness, yes.
And, you know, they're so preoccupied with the child themselves, because obviously there's needs there that they can't even wrap their mind
Right.
around the next step. So I know that
Definitely.
it's been a while. It was really hard in the beginning for people to get to know me, and as they get to know me and my personality, it's been a lot easier working, because I don't know what happened with the other advocates. I have no idea, but I know as far as Mission and Power, we definitely we're good at giving people choices and
Yes.
and explaining their options, and then dropping them, because they have to do the work themselves.
Right. We're not there to tell them what to do. So.
Exactly. My opinion doesn't matter, but
Right.
here's your options. This is
And
what
plus, you know, knowledge is power. People feel more comfortable if they understand the system. They have some knowledge. You know, don't be afraid ever to educate someone on the process.
Exactly. Very cool. That's definitely something we have to debunk. I had a fun question, but we'll do that after the next thing.
Okay.
So we were talking about earlier about the biggest barrier being parents come to us in their moments of crisis. They are just free falling. They don't understand. They're hot. Obviously, every time report cards come out, my caseload increases by 3 instantly. and that's okay. That's what we're here for. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our next Mission Impossible.
Yes. Yay.
Here we grow again.
That's right.
So, what is coming up next?
Yes, we are borrowing a 9-week training from the SPAN Parent Information Center in New Jersey, and it's SEVA, SEVA, and we're going to rename it slightly, and it's going to be Serve Erie Volunteer Advocates.
Yes,
Serving
Erie
yes.
Volunteer Advocacy.
And this training is going to give
Or
people detailed and depth knowledge about special education and the systems, and just how to support other families, other parents.
Okay.
I'm excited.
So am I, actually. So the SEVA training will be 9 weeks long. SEVA also happens to mean serve others as if there is no other, is what that means through language. So this 9-week course is going to be 2 hours a night. We are starting it in mid-January. It'll be held on Tuesdays. We will be serving light refreshments
At our office.
at our office, which is always super good and yummy. Of course, later on we will determine what the foul weather policy will
Yes.
be. We're not that much ahead of the curve here. And then at the end, you will receive what?
A certificate, and we're hoping that you will want to work with other families and support them through their path of empowerment.
Right, so the end goal here is to take the 9-week trainings, be certified to be a Mission Empower volunteer, and then with the idea that you will be able to do an intake or possibly
Or at least a meeting, right? A
meeting,
Yeah.
and hopefully move from there within how you can help pay it forward to the next
Yes.
family.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting stuff still going on with that we're waiting on some
Yes.
grant approvals for. So,
And we will support you. You're not going to be thrown on your own, of course. You'll
right.
be trained and supported.
Right, but I think it's really exciting for a certain population or clientele of us that want to know and want to be educated. There's some parents out there that want to know everything about special education
Right.
and how to navigate that for their child. That they want to know the rights inside and out.
Yep.
And I think it's a really cool thing when those parents can then pay that information forward to other
Exactly.
parents and close that gap of not knowing.
Right. And did you know you're healthier and you feel better when you volunteer and help others? So.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So that's something really cool to look forward to, and you can look for it in our newsletter that comes out next with more information. Okay, so last but not least, Miss Jill, I want you to tell the story about the time that you were arrested, because it's a phenomenal story, and I think we need to have it on podcast for sure.
Okay. So, I used to belong to an organization called ADAPT. They're the civil rights agitation group, I guess, of the civil rights movement.
Agitation?
Yeah.
Agitation, okay. Do
So
they still exist?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know
Okay.
if they do in Erie. I should say not agitation, but civil disobedience, sorry.
Civil disobedience.
Yes.
That makes it better.
So, they started way back in the 70s in Denver. They got the transportation system to be fully accessible with lifts and such. And they would lay down in front of buses and things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we started here in Erie. It was probably like late 1990s, early 2000s, and we'd go to Harrisburg or Washington for different protests. And we went to Harrisburg, and we were protesting some kind of regulation that was going to make it harder for people with disabilities to get out in nursing homes, because it's much nicer, of course, for people who live in their own homes or apartments. And actually, it's cheaper, it saves money, and people are healthier, right? So,
Right.
But the legislation was going to change stuff. So we blocked the main intersection by the Capitol building at 5 o'clock rush hour traffic.
You blocked, meaning how did you block traffic, Jill?
We all stood in the middle of the intersection.
So Jill, who I don't know, you can't see us, or maybe you can, is legally blind. And so you were standing in the middle of a road
Yes.
in front of a
but all
Capitol
Yep.
building at
And I was
rush
in my
hour.
wheelchair, of course.
Oh, okay.
I was sitting.
But still,
Still, yes.
you're there in the middle of rush hour traffic,
Yep.
blocking
and
the road.
The police were called, of course. And they put this yellow tape all the way around the intersection, like all the poles.
Oh.
And they're like, you need to get out of this area or we're going to arrest you all. So we all had decided beforehand who wanted to get arrested.
Oh.
So several people left, and 11 of us were still there in the middle. And I'm like, okay, we're going to take you away. And so there was probably 2/3 of us in wheelchairs. And they had no way to transport us.
I was gonna say, and how did they get you downtown to the station?
Right. So they had to call a lift bus with a lift. That took 45 minutes.
So wait, did you get to block traffic for 45 minutes?
Actually, I think so. So, because of their slowness, it just kept going.
And you just kept sitting there blocking traffic.
Yes, and we could have walked closer. In Harrisburg, things are close to each other. It was just down a few blocks. I don't know why we didn't just push us there, but anyway. And my poor attendant at the time, she went to go talk to the police officer, saying, you're going to have to help her. She can't see, and blah, blah, blah. And he just like, sorry, you're arrested, man. I shoved her in the car.
Oh, are you serious? So your attendant got arrested too?
And she didn't want to be. Oh, God.
I'm looking at Mary Beth, your attendant right now, going, are you down for this kind of thing? She gives it 2 thumbs up.
I can see that, yeah. And then, the people before us who had never, who had been arrested, they said, oh, yeah, they'll just take you down there, process you, and let you go. Oh, no, not this time. So they did process us, but they put us in holding cells.
Wait, so they had enough holding cells to put in all the people with all the wheelchairs?
Not really. They put the people who could walk in the holding cells, like I could. Right, I could get out of my chair. And they put the people who were in electric wheelchairs on the outside of the cells.
How long did they leave you in there?
Just 3 hours, because the people who were in charge from Philly, they had enough money to put our bail.
Somebody had to come bail you out?
Yeah.
So the organization you were there for representing sent their lawyers downtown to bail all of you out.
Yeah. They had their checkbook ready.
That's awesome. And so then you...
So when we came out, everyone's like cheering, waiting for us, going, yeah!
That's awesome. Did they
Yeah.
print you when they processed you? Like hold the sign, the whole bit?
I think they tried, but it didn't. I don't know if it worked.
It was probably just too overwhelming.
It was. I don't think the cops could handle it.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Did you make the news?
I'm sure we did in Harrisburg, yeah.
I would hope so.
So.
It's too bad you didn't make national news on that. Maybe you did and you didn't know.
Maybe. But, yeah, the media doesn't cover that too well.
So you got bailed out and now you have a record.
Well, we had to go back down 6 weeks for the silly hearing. I shouldn't say that. Hearing with the justice of the peace. And they just gave us like a $25 fine for, I don't know, disorderly conduct or something.
Yeah, you were disorderly.
But-
Jill, that's so shocking. Seriously.
Excuse me. Memories.
Right. No, that's awesome.
One time we were outside the White House protesting. We've gone to Washington a few times, and we were all like, don't touch the fence! There's snipers on this road! I'll shoot you! Oh, God, that was...
Did you get escorted out there, too?
No, I didn't get arrested.
No, because you didn't touch the fence.
No way.
Oh, Jill, that's just too much. Seriously.
Yeah, after a while I couldn't take it anymore. It's too cold and rainy sitting out of protest. So, like, I'm getting too old for this. But sometimes the police are really nasty to people. They would like walk right over them, up their chair, over their shoulders. It was awful.
Really?
In DC, it was nasty, yeah.
That is so shocking to me because you would
I know, right?
figure, you would figure that no matter what, they're just trying to get their job done and they wouldn't be that
I know.
inconsiderate and rude. Like,
I know.
they wouldn't have something to prove.
So
So,
they're taking out on us, their frustrations or what?
I was going to say,
It
maybe
wasn't me, I didn't get walked on, thank God.
that person must have just been having a really bad
I
day.
guess.
We'll just have to chalk it up to giving them a little grace for having an attitude. And that's okay. So, we are going to wrap this session of Mission Empower Words with Wendi. And we will see you next time with my next victim. All right?
Thank you, Wendy, it was great.
Thanks, Jill. Thanks
And I
for
look forward to all these podcasts.
thanks for coming. Bye.